Hello again.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. It's been a couple of weeks. I would like to start by saying hello. 2, the new album, Deceptions of Light and Shadow, reached number 1 on iTunes EDM charts, which is ridiculous. Thank you to each and every one of you that went and got that album. If you haven't already, it's available on all music platforms, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Amazon, Google, everything. Consider it. I had a lot of fun making it over the last couple of years, and I hope you are enjoying listening to it on those runs. And finally, our very first trail running race officially sold out last week, which is amazing. Tiger Claw takes place on May 4th. Can't wait to see y'all there. But on to today's review. So this is a fun one. I haven't reviewed much from this company, but I have a lot of friends that run in these shoes and have kept prodding me to give them a review. So here we go. Today's review is of the On Cloudventure. Now this is the newer version of the Cloudventure. They didn't add the number 2 or anything like that. It's the newer version. Some good updates going on here. So at first look, let's just point out the obvious. What On is known for are these Cloudtec pods on the bottom of the shoe. They're essentially a mix of midsole coated in a rubber outsole with a bit of a gap in the middle to create sort of a cushion of air underneath your feet. The technology is simple. It's the implementation of the technology that makes these shoes really popular with a lot of people. The one pair that I reviewed a couple years ago had its ups and downs. The Cloudventure is their trail offering, so it's meant to be an off-road, mountain climbing, inclement weather beast. Does it live up to the hype? Does it do what it's supposed to do? Or does it rely too heavily on the technology that the brand is known for? A lot like Newton, which are great on roads, really rough on trails. In today's review, I'm going to talk to you all about the things I like and dislike about the Cloudventure, starting, as always, with things that I like. Protection. For sure, the Cloudventure is one of the most protective shoes that I think I've worn in a long time. Not only do the pods lift you up off the ground so you're protected from a lot of sharp rocks and debris on the trails, but they themselves are pretty hard, pretty stiff, giving you that added bit of protection, almost like a rock plate. The last in the shoe is very stiff, again, acting like an additional rock plate between you and everything on the ground. The upper materials here in this newer version of the Cloudventure, they're more durable. You have a welded overlay along the base of the shoe, providing extra protection from a lot of elements coming up from below, added protection around the toe box. Overall, the shoe is holding up really, really well, and I think the added protective elements help this shoe excel on the trails, especially technical trails, muddy, sloppy, snowy, craggy, branch-ridden, rock-strewn trails from hell. So good protection. Durability. So not only does the shoe protect you from the elements, but it is also made of durable material. So the outsole rubber is actually pretty thick on each one of these pods. It hasn't worn down at all, really, since I've started running in it. I foresee the outsole and the midsole lasting quite a long time. Both are very stiff, really difficult to kind of break in. That, in addition to this welded overlay on the upper, plus the materials that they're using in the upper, all come together to make a really durable package. So protective and durable, for sure. And finally, comfort. So this was a surprise. So some of the other On shoes that I've worn in the past tend to be either too stiff, not enough ground feel, too much ground feel, but the pods on the Cloudventure actually do a pretty cool thing on the trails, and that's that they work. Granted, I will say that it's kind of specific to the trail you run on. If it's dry, if it's runnable or rocky, they tend to excel more just because you're getting a bit more responsive ride out of the shoe itself. When you start adding balancing elements like sharp rocks, roots, or edges that can catch and hook onto one of the pods, then you're dealing with a whole other issue in balance. But comfort-wise, they are performing a lot better than I anticipated. I think that's in due part to the insole that they're using, which is a bit thicker, a bit more cushioning, and a number of the pods and midsole material that they're using here across the mid-foot, forefoot area. That being said, it's not all tacos and Swiss chocolate. It's Swiss engineered. There are a couple of things I dislike. Let's get to those. First, weight. And not just the fact that the shoe is heavy, it's at 12 ounces in my size 11, but it's the distribution of weight. So the weight in this shoe comes below your foot considerably because of these pods, these Cloudtec pods. All of that weight sits below your foot, creating a pendulum feel. It's a heavy shoe because of that durability and protection. That's obvious. The other shoes that we're dealing with in the same weight category are more cushioned, obviously more voluminous. So to get a shoe that rides so responsively and inflexibly is interesting at this weight point. The upper. So I do like the durability of the materials in the upper, but I will say that it's restrictive. So a lot of these materials are multiple layers. The mesh on the outside has multiple layers of mesh on the inside. This overlay across the outside of the foot is great for durability, but it's inflexible and doesn't really allow for multiple foot shapes to fit in the shoe. Because of that, this upper isn't necessarily adaptable to all foot shapes. If you have a wide forefoot, these may not work for you. There's just not a lot of flex or forgiveness in the upper. In hot weather, the shoe gets super hot. In cold or wet weather, the shoe retains that moisture, so a lot of these upper materials just aren't doing the full spectrum of work. Lacing. Gonna be super nitpicky on this one. These laces suck. I'll be totally honest. They're super thin, they're inflexible. When you're trying to tie the shoe down, tighten it up, it's really hard pulling on such thin laces. And to get them all tied, especially if you're wearing gloves in cold weather or any sort of wet weather, it's hard to really grip them. That was a pain in the ass. Every time I laced the shoes up, it's like, why so thin laces? The laces never answered. And finally, the Cloudtec. So this is just one of those things that's gonna come with the shoe because of the technology they're using on the outsole. Does it translate to trails? I had issues with them picking up rocks. So you have two major grooves here, one groove down the middle, plus all the holes in the lugs themselves picked up rocks, mud, dirt, adding weight to the shoe. Running on gravel was awful. Not only are you getting rocks stuck in the shoe, but you're getting the grating sound of the rocks rubbing on rocks, which is it's like nails on a chalkboard. So again, as I mentioned before, if you're able to run on kind of like dry dirt trails where you're not going to run into a lot of loose rocks, loose pebbles, that's not going to be an issue at all. But the second you start hitting any sort of gravel, loose rock, the shoe was like a vacuum, just sucking them all up. But that's actually it for my dislikes. Again, surprised by the shoe. So in conclusion, is the Cloudventure something to be looked at by trail runners? And I'm going to say, yeah, maybe, because it surprised me. But there are still limitations with this shoe. Let's get more specific here. Build quality, solid. I think the materials they're using are great. It's gonna last you a long time. I see these getting hundreds of miles without really wearing through. They don't suffer the problem of a midsole flattening out. Comfort, like I said, far more comfortable than I anticipated. I was thinking that the pods would be really rough. I'd be able to feel them on all surfaces, but the reality is, I think the combination of these pods being a bit midsole and a bit outsole helped them to be more comfortable. Fit, I didn't necessarily have too many issues with the fit of the shoe. People will because of the inflexibility of the upper. That's just kind of the detriment of this shoe in particular. I managed to get them tied down okay. I find myself having to adjust them from time to time. Fit is fine. Price, these shoes are $150. To me, that's too much. I think what you're paying for is this tech. It's Swiss engineering. I look at shoes like this that depend on technologies, very similar to Newton shoes that also are very expensive because of the tech in the shoe. And when they rely solely on that tech, they charge a premium for it. So at $150, I think you're paying for the clouds. I think you're paying for that technology. I think it's expensive. And finally, looks. Perfectly subjective. Not the best looking shoe. Which brings us to our final criteria. Is the Cloudventure from On a buy, try, or a why? I will actually give this a try. If you have not tried an On shoe, I think they're worth checking out. Not all of their models will appeal to everybody. This being their only trail model, I think it's at least worth putting your foot into just to get a vibe for how it works, maybe getting some miles out there in them. If you are already running in On shoes and you're looking to run to trail, it's a great option. I just think there are so many other options out there for trail shoes at a lower price point that'll get you maybe not as many miles out of the shoe, but more comfortable, more durable, grippier, and more adaptable miles. Looking at the Hoka Torrent, looking at the Nike Kiger 5, New Balance Summit, Ultra Superior, Ultra Lone Peak. I mean, all of these trail shoes that I've reviewed on this channel multiple times, multiple versions, those are some of the comparisons. So I definitely think it's worth a try to at least see what these guys down here are all about. They might surprise you. And that, my friends, is it for my review. What do you think of the On Cloudventure, the new version? Have you run on the previous versions or any other On shoes? Let me know in the comments of this video. Regardless, that's it for today's review. If you enjoyed this review, like, favorite, and subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/thegingerrunner. I've got social media links there where you can do what you do. If you would like to help keep this channel alive, keep the lights on and the mics hot, you can go to patreon.com/thegingerrunner for as little as $1 a month. There's some really fun perks on the back end, and you get to be a member of the GR crew, which is pretty awesome. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys are getting out there training hard, racing harder, and partying the hardest. I know I am. Go grab the album. You are amazing. We'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye-bye.